Namaste. Welcome to Wise Owl Career Guide. Today we have Mr. Vaidyanathan S. with us, who's been working in the field of finance and is very passionate about creating financial literacy among people. Let's hear from him, his journey, and why he felt this need. Welcome, Vaidyanathan.
Thank you. Hi, Vaneha. Nice to be here.
So, Vaidyanathan, before we get into your entire journey, what has been your educational background like?
So, I have always been a commerce-oriented guy. I am a Bachelor of Commerce, and then
Okay.
I dabbled with Chartered Accountancy course, which gave me a lot of insight into the practical aspects of finance, and which
Mm-hmm.
actually was more of a springboard for me to get into the financial planning field. And
Okay.
so, subsequent to that, I did a course called as Certified Financial Planning, which is done in India by something called as the FPSB or Financial Planning Standards Board. And
Okay.
recently I've added on a few other qualifications to that called as Qualified Personal Financial Professional. So
Mm-hmm.
what I found was regardless of how passionate you are about, it still helps to have some professional qualification also, which definitely adds to the bottom line, but it also gives you that bird's eye view and what is a global perspective of these things are. So financial planning is
Right.
fairly new in India. The concept is fairly new. So
Mm-hmm.
doing the proper course, especially something with the US backing, and then doing the course again with something with the India backing gives you that background.
Okay. But this is, something new that I have also actually, with your help come across. So, you're saying now we have proper courses which help you do, financial planning as your background,
Mhm.
and these can be done after your graduation or along with your graduation.
Ideally, it should be done after graduation because what happens is even today our basic curriculum in our education does not
Mm-hmm.
actually cover finance as such.
Right.
In one branch of commerce, we have got something called as BAF, that is banking and finance, but it doesn't give
Right.
too much in detail about this thing. So a basic graduation in any field, be it science, commerce, or arts, is a must. And after
Mm-hmm.
that, the aptitude, more than just the passion for that, you need to have an aptitude for that. So that really helps. And there are a couple of courses today. So people tend to sometimes confuse personal finance with pure finance. There is some difference between the two. Personal finance is something which typically deals with individuals. So,
Okay.
so a finance coordinator in a company might be dealing with the company's finances. But
Right.
as far as his personal finance is concerned, he's supposed to deal with it himself anyway. So, and that needs a
Okay.
different set of skill sets. And there are courses available in India today which help us to
Mm-hmm.
do that. But like I told you, the aptitude, the passion, the interest is also equally important rather than just looking at it as a standalone profession. Ki chalo, theek hai, like anything else, let me go and do this also. It would help if you're genuinely interested. Okay, how do things work? So the people who ask the right questions typically, so when you go to a bank
Yes.
and you see a big chart and you tend to get confused about it, but you are
Mm-hmm.
able to have the curiosity that I need to know what this thing is. That is the type of mindset which will help to become a proper finance professional.
Okay. So, how was your this particular course helpful in getting you your first job? And what was
So,
that job?
okay. So my background basically, like I told earlier, I immediately after my Bachelor of Commerce graduation, I started articleship training for my chartered accountancy course. So that was
Right.
where I began my career. So I started my career with accounts and finance and stuff like that. And
Okay.
after about a decade in that, that actually became a sort of impetus for me to get more into the financial planning field, which I found that it was lacking amongst people, even amongst the well-educated and
Mm-hmm.
upwardly mobile people. Basic financial literacy or the thing was missing. So that pushed me
Right.
towards that. So I did the certified financial planning. In my case, typically I have been self-employed professional. So for me, the education was more in the nature of adding already to my skill sets, which were already there. But
Okay.
most of these organizations, whether it be CFP or QPFP, these people have got their own job role and they have got their own placements. Wherein people who are interested in that, there are a lot of wealth management firms, there are personal financial firms, there are registered investment advisories who are on the lookout to taking on people who have got the necessary qualifications in this field. So there are definitely
Right.
job prospects even as far as the corporate is concerned. But
Mm-hmm.
my passion has been more towards being an entrepreneur rather than being an employee. So I
Okay.
did it more from the point of view of maybe getting to recruit finance professionals in future for my own practice.
Okay.
But definitely
Okay.
there is a option for getting good job prospects in these things also.
Mm-hmm. So, your entire 10 years of working in the field of, chartered accountancy, what was the experience and learnings there? And did it help you, in your next move in the career that you took?
Totally, absolutely, it helped because the thing
Okay.
is, chartered accountancy actually prepares you to, in a manner of speaking, go out and make a name for yourself in the big bad world. So what
Right.
happens is, as a youngster, someone who gets into chartered accountancy, typically the fields which you get into are accounts, audit, income tax, company law, and stuff like that. And these are all
Mm-hmm.
pretty fancy sounding courses. And as a
Right.
youngster, getting to ask questions about a field in which there have been seniors who have been working for 25, 30 years and seeing how
Wow.
they are working and how asking, more importantly, questioning the ways in which that work is happening and if at all a better way of doing things. So that
Hmm.
totally gives you the confidence and the type of analytical mindset which is needed.
Right.
Chartered accountancy course totally provides what you can call maybe a spring roll for that, wherein so
Okay.
it is not mandatory for a financial
Mm-hmm.
planning practice, but in my case, I was lucky enough that I had the background which helped me more for making a impact in this financial advisory practice also, financial planning practice.
Right. So, Vedra, you're currently running your own firm. And what are the functions and things that this firm is into? And what are the planning steps that you took before starting this firm?
Okay, so that's interesting. Like I told you, one of the reasons which got me interested in this thing was I found that there are not too many finance professionals. Today,
Right.
the scene is marginally changing today, but about the time when I was talking. So typically in India, the financial planning profession is not something which is looked upon by people, something which actually needs any skill sets. So
Mm-hmm.
typically a LIC agent or someone who is dealing in the post office deposits or mutual funds, or for that matter, even a chartered accountant or someone with a decent commerce background, typically the uncle in the family who is the all-knowing uncle who knows how to talk and know a little bit about the products. So people are thinking that that is more than sufficient to maybe plan your taxes, maybe plan your savings and investments and stuff like that. And I
Right.
found that there was a gap and the reason for starting off was this I felt it was even today, like I have been around for right from 2005, I have been in this profession. So
Okay.
I find even today in 2022, after 17 years in the profession, as far as India is concerned, it's a sunrise industry. What is visible today by way of scope in the industry is the tip of the iceberg. So
Right.
we typically have got upwardly mobile youngsters. We have got people who have been like so people in maybe in my age group or maybe about 5 to 10 years younger than me who are well
Hmm.
settled, who are in senior level advisory positions, senior level management positions in companies. But most people do not have a properly chartered out financial plan with which they need to achieve their goals. So typically we talk about goal-oriented approach, stuff like that.
Right.
So what happens is the way savings is approached is everyone has got some insurance professional in their own circles, someone maybe a friend or a relative or someone, और अगर उसने आकर के कुछ बोल दिया वो अच्छा लगा तो प्रोडक्ट हमने खरीद लिया
Correct.
And then you go to the bank RM tells you that, sir, there is this new product. I think you should be investing in it. You have got so much of surplus lying in your bank. So उसने बोल दिया तो हमने कर दिया. Most people do not even know what they are signing up for today.
Correct.
Why?
And this
What?
also, I think that this trend is also in category A cities. If we were to go
Absolutely,
to category B and C, investment planning comes only to LIC
absolutely, absolutely.
or maybe buying some gold.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe because of the few one-off cases where there is some scam which has happened or some mis-selling which has happened, people are जैसे वो बोलते हैं ना कि बिल्ली ने दूध गर्म पिया तो छाछ भी फूक के पीती है, sort of thing.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
it's like people are so super sensitive, super careful about taking steps. On the one hand, on the other hand, they don't blindly mind committing huge amounts to something about which they know nothing about.
yeah,
So the objective which we found was that other than the fact that people genuinely need someone who can give professional advice and based on their background and based on the resources which are available and what the products which are available in the market. More than that, we are also in the need for dispelling the myths that mis-selling is happening or that all the
right,
products are bad. So in that relation, India is extremely lucky because our regulatory bodies like RBI, which takes care of the banks and regulatory practices, and SEBI, which takes care of mutual funds and capital markets, and these guys are extremely proactive. Extremely
right,
proactive. So people need to be made to know about this. So that's where we come in and we find that ठीक है मार्केट तो बहुत बड़ा है बट पहले लोगों को हम अवेयर तो कर दें financial
right.
literacy which we talk about. So that
Absolutely.
for me and many more like us, financial literacy is a plan, is a passion actually. We would means I really am not bothered whether Neha is going to buy a product from me or not. I would
Hmm.
rather make Neha aware about what she should be doing, and then the choice is Neha's whether she needs to go out and get it from me or any of the thousand providers in the market.
Right.
So
So,
there are several products in the market. All the products are not for everyone. So
absolutely.
a product which suits a self-employed guy may not suit a guy who is employed. A product who suits a 25-year-old guy may not be suiting a guy who is 50 years old. A product which suits an upwardly mobile executive in a corporate may not suit a housewife. So our
Right.
job is more often to make people understand that okay, based on background, on your background, this is what you need to do, and this is what is available. Now it's your call whether you need to do, you want to do that or not.
Yeah. Okay. So, Vednath, when we, talk about financial planning, that is something that be it, your life in a corporate career, or even if you're planning a business, that is something that has to be, thought about pre-planned. But most of the people kind of, take it as, okay, I have thought about a chunk of money and that should do it. That's not planning. That's like, looking at the absolute this minute need. So for people who are thinking of it, the freshers who are just starting, if when it comes to financial planning, what are the steps that they can take for that?
Okay, I'm thankful you asked me that question because this is absolutely the very base or the foundation on which financial planning is done. So we work on a very basic concept called as financial pyramid. So
Okay.
typically when we talk of a pyramid, we've got a very broad base and then gradually it keeps narrowing up. Now we need to understand that it's the broad base which keeps the pyramid stable.
Right.
So what is the broad base? Typically wealth preservation is the broad base. So rather
Okay.
than talking about wealth creation or making more wealth, so typically someone who has started earning fresh, they get uh, whispers here and there. They see in the media, they see so many articles that okay, maybe something like a cryptocurrency or maybe mutual funds are doing good, or Indian markets are going to do good, or Nasdaq is doing good, foreign markets are doing good. or
Right.
maybe just your guy next door has started a new business and you think that okay, you'll be a financier in a startup and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
the the foundation we always say is more often most of us do not work for ourselves. We work for our
Absolutely.
families and for our loved ones. So
Hmm.
the first step is to safeguard what you're earning
Mm-hmm.
or what you're going to earn in future also. And
Okay.
that happens through something which we call as risk cover or life insurance. Now,
Okay.
as far as life insurance is concerned, there are several misconceptions in India about life insurance also, but that's for some other day. We'll discuss that. But so
Yes.
basically, the topic number one, the foundation, the base of the pyramid has to be very broad. In which basically you cover your risk, your financial risk.
Right.
So
Hmm.
by by taking adequate insurance, the key word here is adequate. By taking adequate
Okay.
insurance, you are ensured that regardless of whether you are there or not, your family's financial needs are met today and in the future also.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
point number one. So anyone who's thinking of financial planning, the first step which they need to do is लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सो लाइफ
Right.
इंश्योरेंस कब होना चाहिए कितना होना चाहिए किसका क्या होना चाहिए दैट इज ऑन ए केस टू केस बेसिस
Absolutely.
second the second thing is once you have ensured that your income which you are going to earn in future is safeguarded, the second step is to ensure that the income which you are earning now is also
Mm-hmm.
safeguarded. Now typically we talk of it is something like a hospitalization which happens, and most
Hmm.
people have had a very unpleasant experience, especially during the recent past pandemic. Is just one instance, but several instances we know that people have spent maybe 5 6 years of savings in one hospitalization.
One hospitalization.
And
True.
forget savings, people have gone out of pocket and have gone into debt also because of that. So
Yeah.
the second logical step is have sufficient. Again, the keyword is sufficient medical insurance or health insurance. So that
Right.
because आज के दिन में health medical emergencies बोल करके नहीं आते हैं. No
Hmm.
one knows when a medical emergency is going to come. So in the unlikely event, or today we can say in the likely event of a hospitalization, we ensure that someone else is taking the load of the hospitalization cost. For
Right.
that, we need to pay a small premium and take on a policy, but that would be point number two. So,
Hmm.
so we started with ensuring that our existing income and our future income is safeguarded. Then there is something called as contingency fund or an emergency fund. So like हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन बोल करके नहीं आता है, ऐसा इमरजेंसी भी बोल करके नहीं आता, कभी भी किसी को भी इमरजेंसी आ जाता है. So
Absolutely.
in a era where employment opportunities are too many, at the same time the possibilities of being shown a pink slip are also equally high. So
Right.
in the recent past, in the past couple of days, we have been seeing too many instances of people being told over the phone there is no need to come to office tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we all know which company we are referring to. I will not go into that now. So तो अभी आज के बच्चे जो हैं या आजकल के जो youngsters हैं या even people who are well set, we all know that we are quite capable of getting back into a good job or whatever it is that we want, but we need time. The critical
Right.
element is time. So मुझे पता है कि today if I lose my job, maybe within the next 3 months or 2 months or 6 months, I'll get into something which is equal or maybe even much better than what I was doing.
Yeah.
But for me to take care of those 3 months or 6 months, I need a backup. And that backup plan is ensuring that I got a contingency fund available with me. So
Right.
we just spoke about a medical insurance some time ago. So typically a medical insurance is going to take care of your hospitalization. But
Yeah.
what happens? The doctor tells us that you need to be on bed rest for the next 3 months. Your employer is not going to give you paid salary for 3 months.
Right.
You might have a medical insurance just taken care of the 15 days का hospitalization. But उसके बाद
Yeah.
अगर 2.5 महीना मुझे घर में बैठना है recover करने के लिए, उसके लिए मुझे contingency fund चाहिए.
Right.
Once these three steps are done, people are more or less sorted.
Yeah.
As far as stability or savings is concerned, after once the savings is done, then we come to something called as investment. So
Okay.
investment में कहाँ पर हम आते हैं कि we say typically you break down your needs or requirements in future of finance into short term, mid term, and long term. So
Okay.
anything you need between 1 year to 3 years from today can
Hmm.
be a short term goal. Anything you
Right.
need between 3 to 5 or 6 years can be a mid term goal. And anything beyond 6 years, 8 years can be termed as a long term goal.
Long term goal.
So typically for a youngster today, his most important need might be to upgrade his smartphone, or
Yeah.
maybe go for the new bike which is available in the market, or
Right.
maybe go for that Leh Ladakh wala trip, or maybe
Absolutely.
go abroad with his friends.
Hmm.
So that can be a short-term goal, like maybe between maybe around between 1 and 2 years.
Yeah.
So you can save up for that rather than buying a phone on loan, buying a vehicle
Hmm.
on loan, more even worse, going on vacation on loan. You can
Yeah.
save up for that. So typically we know today that going for a Leh Ladakh trip is going to cost maybe about 70,000 rupees per person, 65 to 70,000 per person for maybe a 1 week, 10 days trip. So that can be saved up, and you can
Right.
ensure that you comfortably go for that. So
Absolutely.
that would be a short-term thing. So something medium-term would be for maybe someone in their mid-20s or late 20s who's looking to get married in future, maybe 3 years, 5 years down the line. So
Right.
saving up for the wedding expenses can be a mid-term.
Hmm.
Or maybe someone who has already got a two-wheeler and who is thinking of upgrading to a four-wheeler. That can be
Right.
a mid-term goal. So you
Yeah.
can save up for that rather than go for it just because HDFC is telling that EMI would cost you only so much. Just because it's
Correct.
available, because typically the definition of a loan is spending tomorrow's income today.
Yeah.
So
True.
ग्रेटिफिकेशन मुझे इंस्टेंटली चाहिए, तो मैं लोन लेकर के मैं
Hmm.
जो खरीदना मैं खरीद लूंगा, और फिर बाद में आई कीप पेइंग इट फॉर द नेक्स्ट 5 years or 3 years or 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So medium term loans, so I just gave you a couple of examples of medium loans. It could be any. So recently I had a youngster coming to me and telling me, sir मुझे retirement का planning करना है. तो मैं बोला, you are 28 years old, when are you planning to get married? So he said maybe
Hmm.
at the age of 29 or 30. So I said
Okay.
अगर आज के दिन शादी करोगे तो खर्चा कितना आएगा? तो he said,
Hmm.
सर 12-15 लाख रुपया तो आएगा. I said 10% उसके अंदर इन्फ्लेशन जोड़ लेना. अगर 15 लाख
Hmm.
आ जाएगा तो आपको 2 साल का बाद शादी करना है, तो आपको 18 लाख रुपए की जरूरत है.
Right.
So don't you think that with a wedding 2 years down the line, you need to be saving up for that more than trying to save up for your retirement?
Retirement.
Because 2 years down the line, when the wedding comes up, then you'll end up taking a loan for the
Yeah.
expenses, and that wouldn't make
And
sense.
then how? And then that'll, spoil the entire future planning that
Abs-
he's done.
absolutely. So once for midterm ho gaya, then maybe it can be long term. So long term can be maybe token amount for the house which you're planning to buy, the dream home which you're planning to buy. So dream home to
Right.
पूरा savings में खरीदने होगा नहीं, but at least the
Hmm.
down payment which you need to do for that can be done. You can save up for that and ensure that
Right.
at least your loan amount is lower, your EMIs are lower. And of course,
Absolutely.
long-term goals will always be something like maybe your retirement planning or your child future planning or stuff like that. And
Right.
so basically, it was 5 steps. Like we said, the
Yes.
pyramid has 5 steps. For the basic is take a sufficiently good life insurance which ensures that your income is protected. So since I am doing it more for my family than for myself, I need to ensure that
Hmm.
tomorrow if I am not around, they are at least financially protected. It's bad enough to be
Absolutely.
having the emotional thing of
Loss.
not having the person around, but at least financially they
Yes.
should be protected.
Yeah.
Medical insurance takes care that whatever I am earning, at least I am retaining that. Medical emergencies are taken care of. Then we
Right.
spoke about the contingency fund, which ensures that maybe for the next 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever is happening, we ensure that something is available.
Right.
So I don't need to dip into my investment plan to ensure that my contingency things are happening. I should have a contingency fund available for me.
Yeah.
And then we break up the goals into short term, medium term, and long term, and then start saving up for that. और अगर इतना सब करके होने के बाद भी अगर पैसा बचता है हाथ में, तो फिर हम क्रिप्टो करेंसी वो बहुत कुछ कर लेंगे.
Done. So, the reason I asked you this question is that even when we talk about wealth management as an option in terms of career, the understanding of what it actually entails is just not there. you know. So when you say, the minute you say wealth management, the first thought that comes into the head is that, okay, it has to be something or someone who is at a VP level or a CEO level, or at least somebody who's, has crores in terms of spare in their account, and only then you can, get into them, having them as a client will make sense. But, I think financial planning for Indian market,
Agree.
it's not there. Apart from that, the market is huge. Yes, the amount of commissions that you will make from the smaller clients will not be huge, but that will get compensated with the numbers you will have.
Numbers. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, because correct me if I'm wrong, the entire, the 80% or 60% of a financial planner's, salary amount comes in terms of commissions,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right? So, for a youngster who decides to get into this and has an aptitude, apart from the passion, as you said, there is no starting limit for that person, correct?
Yeah, very much
Other
so.
So, apart from the wealth management companies, are there other sectors who are hiring, for this kind of a role?
They do. They do. So now, as far as the wealth management or the financial planning industry is concerned, there are two or three different ways it's happening. So one thing is the corporate way of doing things, where there are corporates who are doing it. There are practically every bank now has got a wealth management team. So
Right.
they are also hiring. Even the banks are hiring freshers and experienced guys also. And
Mhm.
most of the existing MFDs or RAs, so these are technical term. MFD basically means a mutual fund distributor. So it's a distributor of financial products, and
Okay.
RAA is typically someone who is a registered investment advisor. So, like I
Okay.
told you, that SEBI and Reserve Bank of India have typically today been taking a lot of steps towards the interest of the end user, who is the investor.
Right.
So, registered investment advisor, there are quite a few RIA advisory firms in India today, and these guys are recruiting huge. So, on the
Okay.
one hand, India is really making up for all these years of not having being serious about its finance. So,
Right.
so you just addressed the topic of people having misconception about wealth management to people who are in the senior category who are making decent money, who have already got a good money, but gradually we have seen this shift happening. I've got people who are into their first job who are coming to
Right.
me say that I want to start planning for my finances from today onwards. We
Right.
used to we used to be at a level earlier before this, wherein the people who got into good, because what happens is today the type of jobs which are available, and because of the education which thankfully the parents have passed on to their next generation, more often a guy who gets into a brand new job is already getting the type of salary which his parent used to earn as a senior level guy.
Right.
So the levels of income have also become pretty decent. There was a time when people, at least from the well-to-do, well-managed companies, used to think of their salaries as a revised pocket money. मतलब जब तक कॉलेज में थे तब तक अदर पेरेंट्स से मिलता था. बाद में जब काम करना शुरू किया तो दे ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू फियर. तो पहले 6 महीने एक साल कहाँ कमाया कहाँ गया पैसा वो किसी को समझ में ही नहीं आता था. इट यूज्ड टू टिपिकली द इंडल्जेंसेस एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट यूज्ड टू हैपन. And
Yeah.
then by the time you realize 3 years into the job and you have got hardly anything to say by way of savings. But that thing is changing now. People are realizing that okay, there is a need for the, and all the more so, along with so many opportunities which are available, it is also the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty. So
Right.
a guy who has already gotten into a high paying job is really not sure whether he is going to retain the job tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
because of two reasons. Number one, because of his own inclination, and second thing, because of his employer's inclination.
Yes.
So because of that, we talk about the tier T contingency planning. Those guys are very clear now.
Yeah.
They feel the need for some sort of a contingency plan. Many youngsters are getting into professions today immediately after their graduation,
Yeah.
wanting to work for a while and then taking a break from work and then getting
Mm-hmm.
into something more professional, maybe pursuing a course, higher education out of their own income,
Yeah.
and then getting back into the profession. So these things, so they also realized the reason they got into a job was because they wanted to have savings to pursue higher education.
Right.
So these changes are happening, and as far as scope in the industry for youngsters who want to take this up as a profession is concerned, there is plenty. There is plenty.
Right.
India has just about gotten into this concept of financial planning and wealth management today. So the popular perception, I would say, तो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना नेकी कर दरिया में डाल. So
Yeah.
just concentrate on whatever gyan that you have, common,
Right.
which is basically nothing but common sense. But then for people who know it's common sense, for people who do not know, it doesn't. It sounds like rocket science. कि अरे यार मुझे पता ही नहीं था. You have told me something so nice today. So like
Right.
the five steps of financial pyramid which we spoke, we who have been talking about it, for us it's basic sense that before getting your basics sorted, you should not be getting into the higher things. But
Yeah.
for someone else who is listening to it for the first time, it sounds like it's some profound truth which has been told. So we
Absolutely.
just say once you have got all the knowledge, necessary knowledge which you need to know about this field, just go out and educate people. Everyone today needs the basic financial literacy education. Once that happens, business is going to come. There is no dearth of business, absolutely no dearth. And it's not possible for since the margins are very low in our industry.
Right.
So insurance industry is probably one industry in which the margins are good. But as far as the other financial products are concerned, the margins are low. But like you rightly pointed a bit earlier, because of the
Yeah.
huge volume, it easily offsets the margins. And just keep doing the good thing. Just go out, keep educating people, keep telling people what is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not right for them and not right for you, that is. And the
Right.
business will keep coming.
So, another question that I had from you is that, the entire segment of wealth management, the people who are working in the sales or, business development of that are people who are feared by, the person on the other end of the call. So, what is that one tip from you to be able to, break that ice and win that customer?
I would say knowledge.
Okay,
Just tell them what they're supposed to do. Don't tell them that. mat- Matlab, there is no need to paint ghosts. So
okay,
we all know what reality is. We all know how things are going to happen. But it, just because I've got a target to sell a huge insurance policy, there is no need for me to go and create fear in the mind of the client. That अगर
yeah,
ये नहीं करोगे तो ये होगा.
okay,
Rather, like I said, let me give it with the example of insurance, for example. So typically, insurance salesmen are feared. Salesmen are feared by people because अरे
yes,
ये वापस आ गया, he's trying to sell us a policies out of. So
yeah,
the basics is just go and tell people the need they need to have insurance. So
right,
to put it very short, there are three ways in which you can sell insurance. The value of insurance which you have. So one thing is called as the expense replacement method. So,
okay,
so a guy is 40 years old today, and suppose he's earning X and his expense is Y.
hmm,
So regardless of whether he's going to be around or not, his family expense is going to be Y, which will
right,
keep increasing because of inflation also. So
yeah,
typically, depending on the mortality rate in India and how long people are likely to live and stuff like that. So you know that, okay, regardless of whether I am around or not, for my family for the next 25 years, this is the type of amount which is needed.
yeah,
So if that is what they need, then do the necessary math. This is the type of insurance which I need to make. So typically to give you a example, suppose 50,000 rupees per month is the requirement.
Mm-hmm.
even without considering inflation. 50,000 rupees per month is 6 lakh rupees per annum. So
Yeah.
if as long as the main breadwinner is there, the guy who is proactive, he has got a financial planner, he has got the aptitude, he has got the chutzpah to go ahead and do everything, but his family would not be able to do that. This guy can go into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, crypto, and all that stuff. His family would rather put the money in a fixed deposit and wait for the income to be given to them once in a month, with which they can
Right.
spend everything. So for a 6 lakh rupees income per year, even if we consider 6% per annum, the type of deposit which you need in the bank is 1 crore rupees. So
True.
that gives you an idea. That gives you an idea that this guy needs to have a 1 crore rupee insurance policy. This is expense.
Absolutely.
This is expense replacement. The other
Yeah.
aspect after expense comes something called as income replacement. So if this guy is actually earning 1 lakh rupees per year, per month,
Hmm.
but his expense is 50,000 per month. So the expense replacement method is taking care of the expenses of his family.
Right.
But if he had been around, the type of income he would be generating is 1 lakh rupees per month, which is 12 lakhs per annum. So
Yeah.
that gives you a different arithmetic as far as the requirement of insurance is concerned. Then there is something called as human
Absolutely.
life value. Human life value, basically what we do is we consider the growth in that person's profession, the inflation also. So a guy who is
Right.
earning 1 lakh rupees per month today, at the
Hmm.
age of 40, probably at the age of 50, when he's at the peak of his career, he would be earning 5 lakh rupees per month.
Yeah.
So essentially what the family is losing is not the 1 lakh rupees per month today. If he has been around, if he were around with them, he would have
Hmm.
at one stage, you would be earning 50, 60 lakhs in a year. In one
Right.
year. In one year. And
Yeah.
then do the maths for the next 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, or whatever. So then the whole mathematics changes.
Right.
So the reason why I'm telling this is a very commonsensical way to make people understand the need why they need to go for insurance. Or
Right.
maybe something like when I'm trying to give people tell something about mutual funds to people. So
Hmm.
and a typically conservative guy says that "Nah, I'm comfortable with a bank deposit. Why should I
Right.
take unnecessary risk in a mutual fund? So I need to tell him that today the bank deposit is not even taking care of the inflation which is happening.
Which is happening. Very true.
So I don't need to hard sell mutual fund to someone. I need to
Yeah.
make them understand that for your own good, your money is actually depreciating if you keep it in a bank FD.
Yeah.
So maybe from the point of view of asset allocation, or maybe not having all your eggs in one basket, maybe you can have a little bit of amount in your bank FD. But you cannot afford
Yeah.
to have everything there, because in that case, you are actually your
You're
purchasing power
losing.
of money is going to reduce next year,
Yeah.
because the inflation is more than what the bank FD rate is today. So
True.
I would say education, for the simple reason that you make people understand the need why they need to have exposure to a certain product, and then
Right.
leave it to their good sense. Ultimately, they are the one who are writing out the check. Who am I to
Yeah.
force that this policy is good for them? मैं समझा सकता हूँ ना, हर किसी को विवेक है. Everyone has got intelligence.
Absolutely.
We can make people understand. After that, if they're not interested, well, the market is huge. The market is huge. It's not as so that is the only guy who is my customer.
Yeah.
अगर वो नहीं है तो who's next?
You will get another one.
Yeah,
Yes.
who's next? So that so I would say make people understand why you are giving them a certain product,
Right.
or why you are recommending a certain product, and that your work is done with that. So कल वो अपने से नहीं भी लिया और किसी के पास आएगा, तो अगर उसका अगला इंश्योरेंस एजेंट उसके पास आएगा, वो उसको 4 क्वेश्चन तो पूछेगा ना. He will ask the
Absolutely.
right, he will ask the right questions, and that
Yeah.
is more important. That is more important.
And invariably, in such cases, the person who's given you that first advice, the solid understanding of things, you tend to go back to that person.
Absolutely, absolutely, because you realize they are genuine. You realize they are
Yeah.
genuine. They are not. They see, there is no free lunch. There is no free lunch. Everyone is going to earn out of their advice, or they're going to earn out of the products which they're selling. But at
Right.
least there is someone who is trying to look at it being in your shoes rather than
Yeah.
being in their shoes. So good advice never goes waste. It never goes waste. अगर आज वो बंदा 10 लाख के सैलरी में मेरे पास नहीं आएगा, वो 10 साल के
Hmm.
बाद 25 लाख के सैलरी में मेरे पास आएगा.
Right.
After trying out others in the industry, they'll still come to us. So what? So other than intelligence, basic education in this field is absolutely the must. I go by the assumption that you are an expert in what you are doing. But other
Right.
than that, the intention that things could should be for the client's good is all the more important.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Vedanthan, for joining us today and
Thank you so
sharing
much.
your experience. Thank you.
So that was Mr. Vedyanathan S sharing his experience and how he moved from a background in chartered accountancy to getting people aware of what financial planning is and how it can be done. The pyramid that we asked him to share today with everybody is very important to understand the scope of opportunity in terms of a career that is available for you. You can join one of the firms who is into wealth management, or you can get your own certifications and start as an individual who is working in various financial products. But whichever path you take, understand, he mentioned that we are at the tip of the iceberg. I think it's, we are at a very far distance from that tip also right now, because understanding what financial planning means or what it entails and why is it necessary for every single individual irrespective of your income is something which the Indian population is still not aware of. And that is why, if you're thinking of a career in financial services, this can be a huge opportunity for you, because when it comes to this kind of work, you're not dependent on a fixed salary. So there is no, fixed timeline within which you will get your next promotion, or there is no fixed timeline of getting a raise in your salary. How much you earn, how well you earn in this field is absolutely in your hand. And if you've seen some of our previous videos, we've had Miss Sanjukta Sen, who is into insurance, segment, and she said that you can become for insurance companies, a branch manager as young as within 5 years of your starting your career. I'm not saying joining the company, but starting your career. Imagine, ask your parents, ask your siblings if that was possible for them 10 years back or 20 years back in this segment. So, the entire world of finances is changing, and you would, be a huge success if you decide to join this segment. So think about it, find out if you have an aptitude for it, if you understand numbers, if you understand people, because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing the financial planning of people, not, any machines or robots. So your understanding of people and your ability to interact with them also needs to be very good. I hope you've learned something from this session. And if you have any questions, please do write below in comments and we'll get back to you. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.